Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you got Jack Agner and Tommy Coughlin back on the mics this week. We have a special guest joining us in rookie Evan Porter, describing the Predators' 2-1 series win over the Metro Magic. For podcast 250, we almost forgot to say it at the end, but here in the intro, podcast 250, getting to know Evan Porter a little bit, the electrifying rookie whose personality is just a little bit bigger than how tall he stands, but what a guy, what a player. It's a promising time for both the Preds and the Magics, Jack, despite the series, which you talked about too. You got some exciting rookies out there.
No, it was a really good series. I love talking about this one. We gave our Slate 2 predictions as well, so make sure you stick around for that. Still no hits for the Pipe It Up podcast. We're tracking that. We will get one, we promise, but just not this week.
Not this week. Well, Slate 2 might do us better. We're going to predict Slate 2 in this episode as well, and then describe our challenge to you as well. We're going to help us out deciding what we pick. So don't go anywhere. This is the Pipe It Up podcast, and cue the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pipe It Up podcast, the official podcast of MLW Wiffle Ball. We have a very special guest today in the building with Jack and I. It's Evan Porter joining us to begin the show. Jack, thank you for hosting this one with me as always. And Evan, welcome to the Pipe It Up podcast.
Thanks. What, do I say anything?
Perfect.
What an intro.
It's a great intro.
Perfect.
Great
No,
intro.
dude. Welcome on. I like the podcast where we jump right into the interview, but we got a lot to cover today, so we figured we'd kick it off with you. First of all, great job in the series.
Well done.
I think I'll touch on my thoughts overall, kind of after the interview, but way to come into the league and make a statement. I guess before we get into wiffle ball, what I'm more curious about is this Instagram food page that you've started. So I guess how did that start, and what was the motivation behind doing that?
All right, so I've been cooking my entire life. My parents have taught me probably when I was probably 8 or 9, and I would always take pictures of my food, and I thought it was really cool. And then I started to see when social media came around, during the pandemic, all these cool influencers I don't know if you guys know it, but Nick DiGiovanni, Max the Meat Guy, Joshua Weissman, some others, and I just thought their short form content was really cool, and I was trying to recreate it. So I think early fall 2023, I filmed a video of me making carbonara pasta, and I just edited it, kind of cut it down and posted it, and I liked it, so I started posting from there. And then on my third video, I made a Philly cheesesteak, and not only was it Philly cheesesteak, it was, let's just say, a little controversial. I was probably 12 when I made it, and I don't know how people enjoyed it. They did not think I was making it the right way, so it went pretty viral. It got around 1 million views. There were thousands of comments absolutely roasting my cooking, so it just kind of started from there. I mean, I'm gonna say I'm very fortunate that my third ever video was went super viral. So that just kind of was motivation from there, and it's been doing well ever since.
Well, Evan, I think you learned a very valuable lesson at a young age there, and it's that controversy sells. I mean, whether we like it or not, controversy sells. And props to you. You know, I didn't know that's necessarily why it blew up, but I think it's awesome because you just said it. You like doing cooking. You were doing it before. You were doing it on social media. You saw some other people doing the same thing and posting their content online. You're like, you know what? I want to do this too. And despite people maybe saying, this guy's not making the Philly cheesesteak the way it's traditionally made, you kept cooking anyway. And I think you can learn a lot from that for those at home that are listening. It doesn't really matter. And people can, what's your opinion? Does it bother you when people critique your cooking, or do you like to see the different opinions? Because I always think of a hate comment in a couple different ways. Sure, negativity with no real criticism is not the best, but people that actually offer I would have done it this way, or I think he's doing this wrong, and then explain why, I don't necessarily hate to see that. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would say 95% of the telling me what to do comments, they were pretty much saying, you should never like cook again. But
Those
I
are
mean,
no good. Those are no good.
I didn't really care because it just kept going on the algorithm and it got tons of more views after everyone commented.
That's so
So
funny.
at the end of the day, probably read about I would read the occasional comment, but I would see
I'm
like who's
sorry.
the source. If it was like
Dude.
It's
No, keep going,
keep
Evan.
going. I'm
if
sorry.
it was if it was someone that like should like trust and like say they're like a Philly person who like I should definitely trust them. But if it was like some random like someone who's younger than me who's just like season your steak, I'm not gonna listen to them. So
That's
Here,
I
fair.
think you gotta check your source.
No, you definitely got to check your source. People from Philadelphia definitely take their cheesesteaks seriously. So it was probably just the perfect combination storm to make a viral video. I think the other lesson from that story is it just takes one. It just, if you're trying
just
to get
takes
into
one.
content, if you're trying to get into creating content, it really just takes one video to go viral. Probably for the reason that you didn't think it was going to go viral, but it does anyway. So that's hilarious, dude.
Yeah,
Yep.
the Evan, the reason I was laughing uncontrollably is, I mean, I think the internet's just. I hope you can look at it and laugh a little bit. I know you're younger than me, so it might pain you to see people being like, "You should never cook again," when you put a lot of effort into that
Oh,
video and the recipe.
I don't really care.
That's a good spirit to have, and the reason I'm laughing is because again, I think comments like that are so silly. And if you knew Evan, like truly that like such a nice, happy, joyful, playful guy. The fact that people are in your comment section to a at the time 12-year-old kid like never cook again. It's just like what is
Yeah.
wrong with people? That's why that's why I'm finding humor in like which is just horrible to find humor in. That's just how my brain works after I've watched so many YouTube videos and I've seen so many hate comments on our stuff, other people's stuff, just Twitter. Like the internet's a toxic place, and I'm someone who you know can take it with a lot of laughter when I know a lot of people behind the content in situations like this, and it's like, man, just what like why did the internet become such a like a why did it become fun on the internet to make fun of people and to talk people down, and it's just I'm happy that you're happy.
No hate to the people like who took offense, especially in like Philly, but judging from sports, they are very passionate.
They
Just
are.
in general, Philly people are very passionate, so that could definitely have a factor into it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm glad you let off with that question because I know this is a wiffle ball podcast. We do have a wiffle ball series to talk about and an incredible rookie outing for Evan, as his Preds got the series win. But just it's cool to get to know some of the personalities behind, the guys in the jerseys on the field in MLW. And I think just Evan, you explaining that and you bringing up how your first ever video went viral because of how much people hated what you made was just the perfect thing to say because of how pure it was. I loved it. I loved it. That was probably my favorite podcast
Fantastic.
moment of the season so far, honestly.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I guess so. You started cooking around 8 or 9 years old. You said.
Hmm.
I'll say firsthand. I was there watching and striking out against you, and for all the viewers, watching, it definitely didn't. It definitely seemed like you've played wiffle ball for a long time too. So I guess when did you start playing wiffle ball? Was it around the same time you started cooking, or like did you just come out of the womb playing wiffle ball? Because you're not an old kid, and you seemed like a veteran already.
I've always played like wiffle ball like in the backyard with like friends and family. And then I originally saw Como Blitzball and I played like I like actually threw Blitzball, made like a strike zone for that probably 2020, like when I was 10. And then I saw your collab video with them and and then I started watching you guys a lot more and then just me and my brother kind of started at the same time just playing. Then we just kept watching. We went to the Toledo series, thought it was super cool. And then so like going back to like with friends and family, I've had like four baseball friends that I've like up until that point like played with football like on a pretty consistent basis throughout the summer. So I saw like a community post about Wiffle in the Mitten 2022, so I sent it to my like friends and they said they're totally down. So we sent a team there. That's kind of how it started.
How many MLW tournaments have you been to? Because I know you've been to a few.
I've been to five. I've been to the last three Wiffle in the Mittens, and then I went to the last two U17 invitationals. I haven't been to any out of state like regional tournaments. I hope to visit one.
Well, let me ask you this, Evan, because I remember I don't know who you were playing with in your first MLW tournament. I don't think it was the WR guys, but I know those guys have improved a lot over the years. How did your first MLW tournament go from a results standpoint? How'd that first outing go for you?
So first day we played this one team who had like kid who was probably taller than you and Jack, if I'm being honest, and he was a 12-year-old. But we I don't think they were the most skilled at before. They were definitely baseball background, but weren't very skilled. We went 2-0 first day. Me and my friend, I think we combined for a perfect game one of the games. Like we were really confident. And then Sunday, first ever like bracket play game, we had to play against Brady Pearson, like the winner before it, and like we beat them. It was like a super close back and forth game. That's what I remember. And then we lost the to the we lost the next game in the quarters. But the most important thing from that tournament is I like met Brady and we like got really like we started becoming friends and we just started playing from there. So that's what I think of when I like meeting all the guys and like I met some of the Bay City guys, some of the WR guys there as well.
That's sweet.
Great story. I mean, it's another one. I think the video kind of mentioned it, or maybe it was in your post game interview, just mentioning similar story to RJ, where you were a fan and started coming to the tournaments, and then you find yourself actually winding up with an opportunity to play in the league. You know, getting drafted. It's got to just be so exciting. I mean, as a fan, was there a team that you maybe lean towards or rooted for, would you say, when you were just a fan? And then I guess when you knew that there was a possibility of you getting drafted, was there a specific team that you really were hoping to get drafted by?
So as a fan, I would probably say Eagles. I liked Dan was always I kind of based my like original game around Dan with like consistent riser and then go with the off speed. And then And then for this year, I mean, Preds were a great team. They had ace pitcher who could kind of like help me, like bring me in with a two spot to like number two arm spot to battle for, but like I wouldn't have all the pressure in the world, especially at the plate. Another team, probably not the Wildcats, just because they have so many good guys. Uh, maybe maybe Mallards, honestly. I think Jordan would be really cool to play with, especially his style. So that was I would say Preds and Mallards are the two most that I was most hopeful to get drafted by.
Yeah, that's cool. Evan, one thing I wanted to ask you too is, unlike a lot of the other rookies, especially young rookies that have been drafted into MLW, you're a guy that's actually been to the Meadows because you're local for a lot of series over the years. Do you think just knowing how things go a little bit behind the scenes during actual live gameplay versus only watching on YouTube, despite you being a fan, like, do you think that made you feel a lot more comfortable out there?
Totally. The series before I went to the Eagles versus Gators series, and I kind of measured out like so MLW Mound. I don't think it's actually like it's a little different from the one that we play with like in WR. So I had to like I kind of like walked it out for myself to kind of see before. That
Smart.
way I could like and I've played WR has done a few series there, so I kind of know the field well, and I would definitely say the gameplay wise, like how smooth, like it definitely going to series helps.
You mentioned getting drafted to the Predators in a spot where you're probably not going to be expected to be the ace on that team. Obviously, with Ryan Cratch, have you got some sort of mentorship already? Would you say from Ryan and maybe any of the other guys on the Predators
Oh
already?
yeah, for definitely. So I think after my first inning, Warda pulled me aside. It's in the video. Warda like pulled me aside and he's just like, "Great work, dude. You're doing so well. Keep it up." Cratch was helping me on the mound, especially to pitching to Grant. Like in the last at bat, he said, "What's it?" He said like, "Go right at him. I want to see what you got." So that's what I did. I wish they put that full at bat in there. That was probably one of the best counts I've ever thrown in my life. But he helped me like gameplay wise for sure, especially before the series as well.
That's cool. It's a good guy to learn from, probably both offensively and at the plate. And Evan, I mean, we're talking a lot about your pitching and how well that went. When I'm saying you played great, but your bat was there as well, which is exciting for the Preds, who have been looking for offensive sparks, I think, over the years. So overall, I just think that if you're, I know Jack texted me after the series, and he's like, "Dude, Porter's legit." I think you got to be pretty happy with your outing and your performance on the field. Kyle, I think, has mentioned, and we saw it in the post game interview too, but even in the draft video and then in the pregame, talked about how you're just like a spark plug for this team and, electric player out there. We've gotten a taste of your personality, I think, when, we saw clips of you in between innings and then you were mic'd up, and then as this podcast has started. But like to kind of go into more depth on that before you leave your interview today, like, what do you think? Describe your personality to the fans. Do you have like a player comparison who you think you're very similar to personality wise, or like what makes you you besides just your playing style and your skills?
Or if we're talking Preds, I would say I'm like a combination of Rudy and Cratch. Rudy, from what I've noticed, no shade to Rudy, this totally helps our team. He's total, let's go, like total hype man. And then Ryan's always locked in. He's very focused. So I try and incorporate a mix of those two. Like have wiffle balls at the end of the day, it's a fun thing. So you can't take it too serious. But at the same time, we're in MLW and this it's a pretty big deal. So I would say I was taking that Ryan, especially in the dugout, I was probably more like acting like Rudy, where a little bit more loose. On the mound, definitely like Ryan.
That's cool.
I would say that was actually a very good answer from meeting you for the first time, Evan. I could see where you get that mashup between those two guys' personalities. Evan definitely, I was joking around with Evan too, trying to, just get to know him, learn his personality too during the series. But he was locked in when he had to be locked in. He was locked in. So, I think that that was a good comparison. I guess first series under your belt, maybe if you were nervous, kind of got that out of the way. Series dub for the Predators. Congrats again. What are you most looking forward to this season?
I would say probably the Staten Island series, big crowd. I got some inside information that Robles and his friends and family have gotten like 100 people to go already. So it's
Oh,
gonna be
that's
like
news to me. Holy moly.
it's gonna be it's gonna be like a total away game cheering again. But I'm excited for that. I've never played in like a huge crowd before. Like at tournaments, there's a lot of people, but obviously not to the length of like an event like this. So I'm definitely excited for that. And then probably like going to stuff like Wiffle the Mitten, like U17 as like a player. Like I haven't really it's new for me, so it's gonna be another element for those type of tournaments as well.
That's sweet. I'm excited for that one. I didn't know it was going to be a lot of Mallards fans, but that's cool because I feel like, in Oklahoma we had a lot of Mallards fans, but it's cool to have the crowd on your side a little bit. Unlike, on the
Yeah.
opposite side, it can be fun to play the villain a little bit, which will be the Preds role, it sounds like, in New York. Um, Last question I have for you, Evan, is Jack and I talked a lot about, well, we talked about a couple things. Number one, as a rookie pitcher, we think there's a massive advantage just because guys in this league have not seen you yet. They don't exactly know your release point, your tempo, how your ball moves. There's not a lot of film on you at the Meadows. So automatically a rookie, if they're good, have a little bit of an advantage and an edge there over the veteran guys. You're also a lefty. That's an advantage because there's not a lot of those. The last thing is we've talked about how when RJ came in, we'd seen nothing like it because not only was he new, but he was also 6'5", and his stride and release point was crazy high compared to other guys. Um, like myself, you're on the shorter side. Do you think that, with you being the shortest pitcher now in the league, can throw people off? Like, have you experienced that? Are people saying that your arm slot looks weird or is foreign because they're used to seeing guys that are, maybe 6 inches to a foot taller than you?
For the veteran, like I would say for the veterans a lot more, but for every young like player, I'll say like 18 and under, 19 and under, they've pretty much all seen me. I played in a bunch of tournaments, so it's not going to be too old for like the new rookies, last year's rookies, but definitely for like Jack, who's not in the last like 5 years hasn't seen a under 5 foot lefty pitching like that. So
Yeah.
definitely, it's definitely an advantage. Uh, for right now, we've seen like not RJ a little bit, but people get used to it as they pitch more. So
I think just
Mhm.
the switch up, like in our 2023 run, I talked frequently about the switch up between going from RJ to Trevor being much shorter than
Nick Saylor
RJ,
effect,
having, say what?
the Nick Saylor effect.
The Nick
Yeah,
Saylor
the Nick
effect.
Saylor effect, exactly. And just that switch up being hard for hitters to adapt to, and I think it's just magnified with going from Ryan to you, where Ryan is not as tall as RJ, but he already works so many different arm slots, and he's a righty. He's much taller than you, and then you switch to you, and you're a lefty. You're throwing from totally different arm angles as well. There were a couple risers that like weren't in the video that were in the at bat where Evan's so low to the ground naturally that it doesn't even look like he's really throwing it underhand that much because he's so
Mhm.
much lower, but the ball is literally, it looks like it's like rolling on the ground and then it'll hit the bottom tin. So I think it'll be a problem for a lot of teams, especially like you said, the vets who haven't seen haven't seen much of you yet. So kudos to you. Hats off. Way to come out and just, not really shy away from the moment and just kind of take it on. I thought that was really cool. So, excited to see what you guys do in your next series.
Uh, little thing, little thing. I don't know if Ballman wants to keep this in. I asked Kyle about it. He said it's good, but I have some big news. I did not pitch in the Cat series. I got hit in the left wrist, like 2 days before in baseball.
Oh,
So you heard it here first on Pipe It Up. You'll see McGlader, Levi, but that's a lot better than Staten Island happened right before Staten Island or like a big tournament. So just a little news flash. I won't be pitching on Friday's video. So
dang. How's the wrist feeling?
what is it? Oh, this a week and a day after when it's being recorded. I still can't move it all the way back and forth, but doing a lot better. Hope to get on the mound soon.
That's good. Best
Yeah.
wishes.
Well, hoping and praying for a speedy recovery for you.
Thanks, Jack.
For sure. I want to get Porter in Staten Island. I want some at bats off this guy. I've been seeing him throw at our tournaments for years. And I would love to face you, Evan. It'd be a lot of fun. Any
Cool.
closing comments, Jack? That's about it for me, Evan. I'm excited to have you in MLW. I think Kyle had you circled as a guy that he wanted in the league for the last couple of years, but just wanted you to develop a little bit more. Get a couple more tallies on your age before we got you in front of the cameras and whatnot. So it's cool to see you putting on the jersey and having a great first outing. Like, you get the win. You pitched great, and it just looked like you're having a blast out there. And I think this is a good, the Preds personalities, like you said, guys like Rudy and Alec, it's just a good fit for you. So, looking forward to seeing more of you out there this year.
Yep, Tom. I'll see you in Staten Island.
Oh, it's locked in, serious mode. I love it.
Nice. Thanks, Evan.
Cool. Appreciate you, Evan.
Yep. See you, Jack. See you, Tom.
All right. Big thank you to Evan Porter for joining us. Jack, like, what was the atmosphere like? Evan's performance aside, just everything. The atmosphere looked so fun at the Meadows this series. It just felt like vintage MLW. A lot of guys, a lot of banter, guys joking around, having fun. Great pitching, competitive games. Like, what was it like out there for you in your first series this year?
It was awesome, man. I mean, we did not get the series dub, obviously, which is always a disappointment, not ideal. But I will say, like, I just have so much fun always playing the Predators. Like, I have friends on that team, obviously, that I've known for a really long time, but they're genuinely just fun guys to play against and be around and hang out with at the Meadows. Like, we were chirping at them, they were chirping at us. I'm, slapping it around with Rudy on the bench the whole series, joking about how we both probably shouldn't be in the lineup. We got new faces there that all just totally fit in. Like, everybody, all the new guys, Evan, Johnny, and Brady just really fit in with the guys, and there's just not a bad person in the crowd. I mean, you've got parents there, and it was just good to be back. So, a lot of fun. Again, hats off to the Predators. Played a great series. I will say that it's really sad to hear that Evan's battling that wrist injury. I do hope he comes back, because my main point I wanted to make, kind of after his interview, was this Predators team, we have been saying over and over again, like year after year, it's like, yeah, they're really good, but, and the but is always they don't have that number 2 arm, or they don't have that like super consistent guy at the plate. And because they get kind of streaky, outside of Ryan. And I think that, I don't know what Evan will be at the plate, but just from playing him in one series, I do think he has the capability to be that number 2 arm, like that solid number 2 arm for sure. Like an arm they would feel comfortable going to, in a 5-game World Series to switch it up and go away from Crash. And he just fit right in with them too, and the way, it's funny because it's like there was a moment where I think I was on the bench with maybe it was Rudy. I can't remember who it was, but I was looking out and watching the game, and I was like, the Preds have been just waiting for this type of player for so long to come into their organization, in the form that it's come into their organization, like the form of Evan being the kid that he is, like the food content creator, like just genuine kid. He's 15 years old. He's the shortest guy in the league, like by a mile. Like just the whole picture of it, I felt like was just perfect. And I'm honestly, like, I'm genuinely excited for that team just to see what they do. And I also like, I feel like some people are probably listening to this going like, well, you lost the series, like you should be more upset. Mm-hmm. I honestly feel really good about my team. Both of the draft picks, I was really happy with how they played. Johnny and Brady both looked really comfortable at the plate.
I agree.
They looked like they'd done it for years. So that was really happy to see, or I was really happy to see that. I got everyone some playing time. RJ again just looked like RJ. Stuff was pulling out some new tricks, pulling out some old tricks. So yeah, we didn't get the series win. We would have liked to put some more runs on the board, but I think seeing the at bats and the promise and the young guys that we drafted on our team, I know those runs will come in. And I think our pitching will come around, as well to be there. So
yeah, it was really refreshing, Jack, to see, your rookies, JPG and Brady Pearson, making contact out there and having good at-bats. And, Johnny got a couple of hits just because of the offensive struggles in the past for the Magic outside of Grant these last few years. I'm sure that made you just absolutely thrilled to have some offensive production from some of your new guys. And I didn't know what to expect from Johnny. I'd heard his name floating around during the draft as a prospect, a friend of PB's, but he did look very comfortable, hitting the ball hard. Looked athletic, looked comfortable. It seemed like too, energy-wise, he was solid and, an upbeat player, if I'm reading him correctly through the video. But I do think it looks like another new school type Magic team, despite having guys like RJ, and even you had Grant Miller out there who we weren't sure about his availability. Great to see him get a series in to start the year. So I just think it's like the refresh button your team needed to kind of try to get back to championship form.
Yeah, 100%. It gave me sort of that feeling of that 2023 team where, yes, we were a lot of new faces, like trying to kind of figure out our chemistry, but it was also the feeling of like, hey, this is something brand new. Like 2024 was like, yeah, we're defending our title. We know we can get back there, but there is something unique about having like a very fresh start and just like that energy that's in the air when you have that. And I think we do have that for sure. I mean, we have, 3 guys that are very young and capable, both at the mound, at the plate. got them all significant minutes in this series. So yeah, like I said, we didn't get the series win, but from a manager's perspective, I'm counting it as like a win in terms of I got the guy. Like I got to see both Johnny and Brady pitch. We pitched 4 pitchers actually in the series, and I got to see both of them at the plate. Everyone who was there, got to bat. AJ got going a little bit, so I'm confident. I'm very confident with the Magic right now. The Preds were just better that day.
And let's not forget, Jack. I mean, we talked about the Eagles so much and their success, but let's not forget the Preds did win the AL last year. They went to the World Series. They, in my opinion, got better because they added Porter, and you guys played them tough. I mean, the scores didn't necessarily reflect that in the second 2 games of the series, but that was a hard-fought series from start to finish, which impressed me from your group and just how new everyone was. So I agree, think in a weird spin zone type of way, this is a series win for the Preds, but also a series win for the Magic, and just the fact that's like, okay, the Magic can compete with good teams again, because last year that didn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's no reason to say that we can't be up there with the best teams in the league. I'm sure the new manager poll that's going to come out is going to put us somewhere near the bottom. Because we scored 1 run in a 3-game series. Everyone's thinking, oh, it's the same Magic team again. Here we go again. I'm telling you, it's not the same team. So I'm very hopeful. Honestly, like to me, we're a better team when there's a chip on our shoulder and we're kind of not playing from behind, but playing. Grant kind of mentioned it like in his pregame interview, sort of like under the radar. It's like no one really thinks of us as a contender. I think that's where the Magic historically as a franchise honestly has thrived. So I like where we're at. Oh, I'm getting a hamstring cramp on the podcast.
Oh, a little Charlie horse for Jack. Dad Agner did not have enough water today as he goes down out of frame.
A lot of yard work. A lot of yard work today.
Oh man.
Oh.
I got sunburned.
Oh, we did not have enough water.
In like 60-degree weather, I got a little pink. But well, Jack, you take a tea there for the next minute or so. I'll get us through this. On the Predator side of the ball, Ryan looked good, of course, breaking out different pitching motions, step back pitches. The 2-seam was working, the drop was working. He had his same mojo as always. Hit a home run, sort of his MVP self. Offensively, I thought they looked pretty good. You got a hit on a Warda. Slate 1 Russell strikes again. I think I saw a comment about how Russell has not homered in a Slate 1 series like ever in his existence on the Predators. So somehow he always finds a way to get it done. And just these guys, again, Warda and Russell have just found a way to stay consistent. It's been different for a lot of different veterans. Jack and I have declined the last year. I'd say Norp lost a step last. I'm not saying Norp can't return to his form. Same thing for Jack and I, but I'd say Norp would agree. He took a step backwards last year. Kyle's always been pretty solid. Daniel actually resurged last year, and Drew Davis, Russell, and Ward have kind of just been even Steven. They've always had production offensively with hitting for power throughout the entirety of their career. So again, just another competitive team, and it's hard. There's just a lot of good teams in this league, and no one really wowed me in this first slate. It was like no one was like, this is the team that's going to do it this year. They're the team to beat. And that's not because there's bad teams. It's because there's just so much parity. And the offenses, this draft class seems like a very, offensively sound and capable draft class between Gunn and Pearson and Staggs. You have the Wildcats who added Hornberger, who's going to be a solid bat. There's just a lot of great bats, which is not the norm in these draft classes, in my opinion. It's simply not the norm. So I think there's just a lot to be excited about in the parity of the league. And pitching is pretty solid everywhere too. I think the real, you had a pitcher that struggled. Brady couldn't find it a little bit, but JPG looked pretty solid for the most part. RJ looked great. We saw Drew Davis and the Cobras struggle for their number 2 arm. Trey Flood at number 2 struggled, but all the aces looked pretty solid, pretty darn solid. So it's just tough for me to, we do this coaches poll now. Jack mentioned it. And of course, Kyle will do a power rankings in general from a more overview of the performances of the team statistically and not just how the managers view certain guys and their talent. So
Yeah.
it's just like the first one I did, it wasn't that hard for me. I kind of looked at the last year's rankings, thought about how the playoffs played out, and I made it. When I resubmitted my votes, Jack, for the Slate 2 coaches poll, it was hard for me, like very difficult. I'll say it wasn't that hard for me to rank a team at number 8, which you'll see who it was. Well, I guess you'll never see my ballot, so I guess I won't say who I voted for because I want to keep the ambiguity of that whole thing. But besides who I voted for at number 8, like I had a lot of difficulty. And actually, no, 1 and 8. I had an easy number 1 and I had an easy 8. 2 through 7 was like legit a toss up. Not, I mean, there was some people thought that were better than others, but it was hard. Let's put it that way. It was very hard, and I could have done it a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I haven't yet sent my my rankings to Kyle just because I've been thinking about it today. But it's like I like want to rank every team like number 2 because it's like I agree with you. There wasn't one team where you're looking at them going, oh, this is the team. Like they're way better than everyone else. But then everyone is good, and I honestly think that all of these teams, if they got hot at the right time, could win the World Series. So it's like, I agree. That's where I'm saying like I want to just rank everybody at 2 because it's like that's you could make the argument, you know, depending on what it is, that you could put any of those teams, to your point, you know, 2 through 7. Honestly, like I'm like expecting, I forget I think the Magic might have been 7 in the first one. And so that's why I'm saying we lost our series, and so the Gators won. So I'm expecting people to put, or no, the Cobras were probably 8, right? So who knows? I guess that's the real test. That's the real test. Is do the managers believe in Drew Davis, you know, being the number 2 arm and him as a manager over like the Magic team that just, you know, that competed and lost to the Predators. So that'll be we'll be jostling, I think, for, you know, the number 8 spot. But again, I look less at power rankings and more at who I've got in my clubhouse, and I'm happy with who I've got in my clubhouse.
Me too, which is cool. I think actually probably a lot of managers fall in that category this year, which is awesome. You know, you want all the guys to have a cohesive group and a group to build around. And I feel like we've had some sort of rebuilding happening these last few years with the Magic and their unique group, even though you won. Like the Magic's group, the Gators group I look at, the Wildcats group has changed so much, the Cobras group, now the Eagles are turning over. Just, I don't know, this feels like a real new starting line for a lot of different franchises this year. And just like the base level of talent has changed. I mean, it's just solid all the way around.
100%.
And there are, you know, we started the draft in 2020, and that first class was so solid, and then there was like a lot of hit or miss picks throughout those next couple classes. And I think the guys that were solid in those classes have now like found themselves a starting role from like 2021 through 2024. Yeah. Other guys may have faded away. And now this new class feels like a 2020 class where they're all just very capable players. So it just feels like, again, like the 2020 era felt like a new era. I almost feel like this is like another wave between the talent level, guys getting, like, now we have a new school of veterans. Like those 2020 guys are now veterans. The Norps, the Chadwicks, the Cheathams, the Jorgies, like those are the Heaths. Those are veteran guys now. And then you have the old school guys like us who are like the OG players. And then you have this new wave of players along with a clean slate, no divisions. It just feels like a new era from a player's perspective to me.
No, 100%. I think it's definitely a shift. I think we've touched on that before, and just seeing those guys, you know, in person, I think validated all those comments that we made after the draft, just about how strong this draft class was. Like I said, Johnny just looked like a natural. Brady looked like a natural. Evan, it would be such an easy opportunity to maybe not have your best stuff and be a little bit nervous. I mean, the kid's got ice in his veins. I'm telling you right now. Tommy wasn't kidding. He was not kidding after the series. Like, I texted him and was like, Evan is legit. Like, he is a legitimate pitcher in this league. And you know,
the drop was crazy.
It was it was impressive to say the least. So I'm excited, like I said, for the Magic, for the Predators, and the rest of the young guys and new faces in the league.
Yeah, it was a good slate. No sweeps, 2-1 all the way down. I don't think that was the case last year. I want to say maybe 2 years ago we had an opening day slate with no sweeps. I could totally be wrong on that, so don't quote me on it. But there was one within the last few years where we had a no sweep slate one. And I just think that again shows the parity. And just again, a lot of rookies that I like this year. Porter being one, Brady, all of them that played in this series. Porter, Brady, and John Paul Gunn, I all think have a legit shot to be real contributors for their squads this year, which is exciting. And I enjoyed this slate. I think it was a good slate for a lot of different reasons. And I don't think any team is necessarily leaving this slate feeling not great about their chances this year, which is, again, cool.
Nope. Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more.
So, yeah, I'm excited to see how Slate 2 turns out. We're going to go through the matchups in just a moment. But first, on this video, comment of the week this week. It's comment of the week time. And this week, folks, talking about Evan and his comment section on his viral video. The comment section this week, at least near the top, has some phenomenal comments just about Evan and his height, and the young guys like RJ and Evan, the banter, so many good ones. Like I saw a dozen that could be comment of the week. For the sake of the pod, I landed on this one from Tyler, and it says, Jack Agner, a fully grown man with a beard, mortgage, and family, striking out to Evan Porter is both a hilarious and honest showing of the Pipe It Up podcast. Hashtag Geezer Nation. Jack, no hits for the pod in Slate 1. Tough look, but we're building talent. We're building talent out here. We're managing squads, and we're gonna have our moments. I know it.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, that's what it's come down to, is we're tallying hits for our combined podcast,
not home runs, hits.
The comment section was great on this video. I have to say, I don't remember if it was this comment or a different one, but there was a collection of replies on one of the comments that was, I think, around my poor performance probably, and I had a number of people defending me. So I do want to say good. I appreciate you guys in the comments. I'm assuming you're Pipe It Up listeners, so you've probably listened to the podcast. You got to know me through Pipe It Up, and then now you're probably rooting for me, maybe just because of that, or you're not. I don't know, but I I think that a lot of people probably watch the videos and they're like, why is this guy still playing? Like, they don't listen to the podcast.
It's the heart,
and they're like,
passion.
how is he still out there? Like, why are they allowing him to still be out there? Like, honestly, I don't even know if some of the people watching like know I'm the manager of the team. But anyway, I appreciate the comments. Of those people defending me. It is getting noticed. Let me put it that way. It is getting noticed.
Yeah, I know like we have our Instagram handle and like the MLW logo sort of watermarked on this podcast on YouTube. I think we should make an additional watermark of just a tally of hits that this podcast accumulates throughout the season, because it might not be that
Why
many.
not? It should just be a graphic that's like in the middle of the videos, like, combined Pipe It Up hits.
Maybe I should just, Jack, you know what I should do is I should hang a chalkboard behind me. And I'll bring it to the studio, and we'll mark them every week. And hopefully
right now we got a fat goose egg.
Right now we just have a bagel sitting there.
It'll be like when you hit your like PR in a weight room and you ring the bell. It's like we get up to the board and celebrate that tally.
Yeah,
that's what it'll be.
You can also do number of days since the last hit for the podcast squad, for the pod host.
Oh, that would be good. Give us that stat, Sean.
It's regular season, Jack. Oh, it would be brutal. Dude, it'd be brutal.
It's so long. It's so many days. It's so many days.
It's so many days. But maybe Slate 2 will be our time, Jack. You ready to get into matchups?
No. You know what? I was 0 for... Yeah. I will just say I was... I think I was 0 for 4 with a walk. Evan was dealing. He threw some pretty disgusting pitches, but I felt pretty good out there. Like, I hit... I ticked it.
Any foul balls? We should have a tally for foul balls, maybe, too.
I did have some foul balls. I think at least one.
I had a couple.
I think maybe 2. So I was making good swings out there, I felt like, and I had good approaches. It just didn't go my way, and so that's all right. I was swinging hard. I was swinging for home runs, which is what I was told to do. So, yeah, I'm like I said, I'm totally fine after this series. Like personally, as a manager, I'm really excited for the next one.
Slate 2. Let's get into it. The score on our bet. No points scored in this series. Both Jack and I had 2-1 Magic, so we were almost perfect on this one. We got the first upset right in the Gators beating the Eagles. But the Magic, the wands did not go up. So no points here. I do lead still then 9-6, Jack. 9-6 after Slate 1. You're down by 3. And because you're down, Jack, that does mean that you're going to have an opportunity to make a super pick in these next slate of predictions. So we're going to get into that once you do make that pick. But we have our predictions ready. For Slate 2, I have a 3-point lead. Mallards versus Cobras. This also, let me say a disclaimer here. I don't know the order of the uploads this slate, guys. So don't take this as the order of the videos. This is just our predictions. So we're going to start with Mallards, Cobras. Who do you got in that one, Jack?
I got 2-1 Mallards.
2-1 Mallards. I'm also going to go 2-1 Mallards here. I like our chances when Robles is pitching. Game 2, we'll see. I just feel like I can see it now, like a Drew Davis home run, or like maybe a 2-home run game from Drew. It's just what Drew does. It feels like he gets hot, and all of a sudden he hits a couple bombs. I think that's how we let one get away from us. But we'll see. So tiebreaker, 2-1 Mallards, both of us. Jack, it is your pick first here. The over-under this week, we asked Stats Sean for the average number of strikeouts per series. It was 40.8 strikeouts per series on average. So 40.5 will be the line. Jack, you going over or under on this one? It's your pick first.
I will take the over. I feel like there likely could be at least one game that goes to extras with a little bit of a duel between Caden and Jordan. And if not, I think Jordan will strike out a lot of people anyway. And so I'm going to take the over.
Okay. I like it. I like it a lot. Next up, Eagles versus Diamondbacks. This one is in St. Louis. I'm going to go 2-1 D-backs. The D-backs bounce back, right the ship. These are two teams that went 1-2 in the first slate. So both teams hungry for wins, but I do think the D-backs, watch out for the lefty, Jake Sullivan the fourth. I think he's going to have a big showing in St. Louis. Notch at least 1, maybe 2 wins for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, this is the bounce back series, right? Someone's got to come out of this series being qualified as having bounced back.
True.
I guess it's just who wants to bounce more, and I think that's going to be the Eagles.
Ooh,
so I'm going to go with 2-1 Eagles. I mean, pretty much for the same reasons as you are. I'm just picking the other side. I think that they're going to come out hot. They're going to come out ready to go. They kind of got that, shaking off the cobwebs from the celebration still from the World Series. They got that out of the way in their first series. I think they're going to come in locked in, ready to go.
Fair enough. No tiebreaker needed. We're on opposite sides of the ball here for the first time this year, right, Jack?
Yep. I think so.
Yeah. Chance to gain some ground. All right. Who do you got? Cats versus Preds. We did not know about the Porter injury, by the way. We did not know. And
so I have the Western Wildcats 2-1. And I am also going to be making this my super pick.
Oh.
Now, I want to clarify, this was before I knew about the Porter injury. I told Tommy
True.
I have a super pick, but I'm going to wait until the podcast happens. I will say that after we played the Predators, I thought a little bit more about choosing my super pick, but I said, trust your gut, stick with it. And so I am making this officially my super pick, 2-1 Wildcats over Preds.
Okay. So Jack, if you get that super pick, that means you get an additional point here, correct?
What did we say? We said the
what is a super pick? Let's rewind.
What did we say?
What is a super pick?
For the listeners, I think what we said was if you make the super pick, if you predict the correct outcome and it's your super pick, you get an additional 2 points.
2 points. That's correct.
If you pick the right winner, Right winner, wrong outcome, and it's your super pick, you get a point. And then if you get the wrong winner, it's minus 1 point. It's an additional minus 1 point. Yeah.
Got it. Now, if
not an additional, but it's like it could be a big swing because just minus 1 because like if who are you going with in this series? Are you going Wildcats too?
So I'm also going to go 2-1 Wildcats here, Jax. We do have a tiebreaker situation. It's my turn to pick. I already thought about this because I think the Cats and the Preds have played so much and they've seen Kyle so much. I'm not going to maybe see Kyle in this series, but the Preds just have a knack for the ball hitting. I'm going to say under 40.5 on this one. So what does that mean? So if I win the tiebreaker, would you only get 4 points instead of 5? Is that how that would work?
So if you won, if it's 2-1 Wildcats and you win the tiebreaker, I would get 4 points.
Because you would get
3 points.
3. Yep. Okay, so you gain 1. If you win the tiebreaker, you would get 5 points. I would get 2. Correct?
Correct.
Yes. And if the Cobras win the series, I would get 0. You would go minus 1. Correct?
If the Preds win the
Preds,
series.
Excuse me. Preds. Sorry. Excuse me.
Yep.
Okay.
Nope. You're right.
So 2-1 Cats over on the strikeouts would be a 5-2 Jack win. 2-1 Preds under, or 2-1 Cats under on the strikeouts would be a Jack 4-3 win, and a Preds series win would be 0 for Tom, minus 1 for Jack. Clear?
Yeah. Yeah. So you're essentially rooting for the Predators now.
Kinda, yeah, which is so odd. But
after you've made your pick, you're rooting for the Predators.
Yep. Okay. All right. Last but not least, Gators versus Magic. This one I struggled with. I'm going 2-1 Gators. I think we're going to see the offense here probably on both sides of the ball between the rookies I've seen on the Magic now, rookies I've seen on the Gators. High scoring series I'm going to predict, and I think the Gators are going to edge this one out 2-1.
I think it's a very fair pick. I can't fault you for it. That being said, you guys have listened to this podcast long enough where I'm gonna ride with my boys.
He always does.
Over whatever this punishment might be. I'm riding with my boys. So we're going 2-1 Magic. I like our chances. I like how we match up against the Gators. And this is going to be, I think we're going to look back on this slate once we're doing whatever our bet is, our challenge. We're going to look back on this slate and say this might have changed the course of the entire bet, because we've got two opposite picks here out of 4. We've got a super pick involved that could be a big swing if it falls my way. But
True.
if you win both of, if you win the Eastern Eagles series and the Gators series, and then the Predators win, you just made a very large gap. Made a very large gap. So
that's true.
I think this is going to be this is definitely going to be a slate that we look back on and know that it had a lot of implications.
Yeah, I would agree. It's not very often where we have 2 different series where we have different teams, let alone outcomes. So we didn't have that happen a lot last year. The parity is increasing, so we might see that more often this year. I have a feeling.
Yeah,
we'll see.
No, I think so too.
Cool. Well, I'm excited for Slate 2. We got an out-of-state series in this one. 3 great matchups. Other than that, I always love seeing the Preds and the Cats square off. That's a classic MLW matchup. Malage Cobras, you get a World Series rematch there. Played them a lot in the past. Always seems to be exciting. And then Gators Magic again. 2 new teams sort of rebuilt this year. Exciting matchups across the board. So the out-of-state event, Eagles versus Diamondbacks, is this Saturday, May 31st. Tickets are still on sale, I believe, MLWwiffleball.com. Definitely, if you're in the Midwest area, I think it's worth the road trip. They're a great venue, great host. Had a lot of fun there a few years ago. Jack, you played in that one. I think you could agree the crowd was electric and the turnout was fantastic. So hoping for similar results this year, and I hope that the players put on a good show for everybody. I'm sure the nerves are starting to set in a little bit, but there's some veterans out there between Norp, Daniel, Dallas, Jonah, and also some new school guys like Jake Sullivan, I think, who are excited to have a chance to play in front of a crowd. So I'm excited for that one. I'm curious and eager to hear about how it goes.
That's an elite event. If you seriously, guys, if you have not got tickets and you're in the area or not doing anything, just go. It's gonna be a great time. It's a great event. I know it'll be a good series. So make sure you guys jump on that. That was one of the most fun days I've had in my 26-year run in MLW. So don't miss that one.
Pod Squad, Tommy coming in after recording. I realized Jack and I did not describe our punishment, Jack. We totally forgot to mention it. So PB is going to edit this in after we make our slate predictions. So what we've decided, after the comments talking about what content we could create from it, how much the fans would enjoy it, and the hype building up to it, and just the overall presentation of the entire challenge, the Waffle House Challenge 2.0, we've landed on 3 things, essentially. Number 1 is the cooking challenge idea, which, again, that would be up for debate in terms of how we do it, but I think it would have to be like we're blindfolded, or it's a tough recipe, like there's elements that are difficult, like you have to wear oven mitts or something fun, like that makes it difficult for you throughout the cooking challenge to get through it all. Number 2 would be the hot dog, 9 innings, 9 hot dogs challenge. So it'll probably be somewhere around the MLB postseason as the MLW season concludes, that Jack or myself will have to attempt to eat 9 hot dogs over the course of a 9-inning baseball game. That would be a tough one. And then lastly would be a solo stream of just one of us having to build an 1,000-piece puzzle in one sitting, which would be brutal.
Yeah.
Would not be fun. How long would that take? Is that a bad idea?
I think, okay, listen here. There's pros and cons. There's pros and cons to all of these. I think the con to the puzzle is it's clearly going to take the longest.
I would agree.
Now, we've been known to barter. We've been known to barter on live streams for time. We've been known to barter. So we could potentially do that.
But how do you barter a puzzle? It's either done or it's not done. Maybe you get help.
I know, but
person in there.
We can barter. We can barter with the stream. It's happened before.
True.
But that would, that's the con. The hot dogs is like, it doesn't really take that long, but it's just going to be terrible while you're doing it. Like, it's probably 3 hours, and it's gonna really, really suck. The cooking challenge is the one I think is like probably not gonna suck that much for the person doing it, but it'll just be like it would be really fun.
Funny.
Like, it would be fun and funny to do. So
if I'd put you in the most ridiculous cooking outfit you've ever seen if you were the one doing
it. No, likewise. So I think we just want to know what you guys want to see. So tell us what you want to see, and then that's what we'll do.
All right. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have an Instagram poll. Let's say on this Saturday, Instagram poll.
Sure, let's do it.
At Pipe It Up MLW. We'll tell Kyle on the MLW main channel to send some people over to our Instagram to check out the vote. That's what it'll be. Cooking, hot dogs, or puzzle. Those are 3 options. We're going to vote this Saturday. We'll tell you the results next Tuesday. So, sorry for that post-edit thing, but PB, thank you for putting it in there. Let's get back to the episode conclusion. This was episode 250, Jack. Round of applause. 250 pods.
Come on.
They weren't all us. Shout out to Drew. Shout out to Ryan. Shout out to Daniel. Shout out to all of our guests, but 250 pods, pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. It's nice to hit that milestone and be like, wow, that's cool. Like you're going through it and it's like 238. Nah, that's a weird number. 246. Nah, that's a weird number. 250, dude. We've done 250. That's crazy.
It's a great score.
Shout out to all the founding fathers of the Pipe It Up podcast and everyone that's come through.
And shout out to the listeners too. Listeners, both fans, current players, like. There's a lot of cool people I've met over the years who listen. So 250 episodes. Thank you all. I'll tip my cap to all you listeners out there. And hope you've been enjoying it and enjoy it throughout the rest of the year. We'll see you all next week. Pipe it up.